Hey, y'all, I'm Shane Sams, the host of the Membership Masters podcast. I'm a self-employed, location-independent, online entrepreneur, and I have built multiple million-dollar memberships with my amazing wife, Jocelyn. And I've helped thousands of other people just like you build and grow membership sites of their own. My goal here at the Membership Masters podcast is to introduce you to some of the best membership entrepreneurs on the planet so that you can learn from them and go get and keep more members every single month. Today's podcast is going to be a good one. We've got our good friend Jennifer Bradley, a Flip Your Life community alumni, on the podcast today. Jennifer is a speech language pathologist who built an amazing online membership of over 1,000 members in the speech language community. Today's podcast is a long one, but a good one. You are going to want to stay to the end of today's show. On today's podcast, we are going to talk about how to hire slow and fire fast so you can build an amazing team around your membership site. We're going to talk about how you can completely remove yourself from the day-to-day operations of your membership business so that you can focus on higher level tasks to really make it grow. We're going to help you learn exactly how to say yes to big opportunities and no to all of the other opportunities that come along your way. And finally, at the end of today's show, we're going to do a live marketing coaching session where Jennifer and I develop an actual promotion live on the air. And I teach her my trailer park tornado strategy for evaluating risk in your membership business. I absolutely loved my conversation with Jennifer Bradley. I cannot wait for you to listen to it. But before we get started, I've got to ask you one question. Are you ready to become a membership master today? All right, let's go. Hi, Jennifer Bradley.
Hello, how are you?
I am pumped. I'm excited to finally be able to talk to you on Membership Masters because we've been trying to schedule this for it feels like 6 months, but the world keeps ending and I keep getting sick, and then carnage continues to ensue at all times.
Yeah, because I think that we had a meeting set right before I went to Disney, and then you had to cancel, then I had to cancel, and then COVID hit. So
at least you got to go to Disney before it shut down.
Yeah,
right?
We got home from Disney on Sunday, and Disney shut down on Tuesday. We were like in a bubble and we didn't know everything going on. And then we got home and it was like, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. I heard of when I was in San Diego when everything was breaking out too. Like I remember I was at the airport. I can't remember if I flew from San Diego to Charlotte, and I can't remember where I was, but I remember looking up at the news and it was showing what was happening in China. Yeah. And then I looked at Twitter and I saw like these crazy scenes of people being like welded into their houses, and yes. And I remember calling Jocelyn. I'm like, Jocelyn, do you think they're not telling us something? Like, is this seems way more serious than they're making it out to be? And then I got home on March 2nd. I got really, really sick on like March 7th.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying that.
I mean, I have never felt that sick, and at the time I couldn't get tested because there were no tests. They were running. They were just running on it, and then everything just started shutting down, and here we are today.
Here we are.
But you know what? Online business is still rocking, Jennifer.
It is. It
is still rocking. So for the benefit of everyone who will listen to this, and then we'll jump back into real world conversation. Tell me a little bit about what you do, right, and how you kind of got started in this, just for some context for the rest of our chat.
So I create speech therapy materials, and I started originally selling them on Teachers Pay Teachers. It's a third-party site. And then I started listening to you guys, and I was always nervous about having everything on a third-party website. So in 2017, I started my membership. So I pretty much have speech therapy materials and plans that I sell to speech therapists. And I started the membership site in 2017, and I have been super excited that I've done that because, with everything going on, TPT is still looking good, but it's so nice to have my membership site because that just sprouted, and it's so much more lucrative than
right. and you own it. They can't
and I own it and I control it, and yeah, I don't have to be upset about something that they changed because I have my own thing now. So
that's
yeah,
amazing. You're one of my favorite people in the world because we've talked so much on Voxer and in the community and everything else, but it is really interesting, especially on this podcast, which you've been on Flip Lifestyle before too. But like this podcast is interesting because we get to talk to real members. Like I consider you an equal. I consider you a peer.
Oh, thank you.
I
That's a
do.
compliment.
And I learn as much from you guys, from the community as I do. You guys probably learn from me, and you don't even realize it because the conversations that we've had about watching your members, especially people who've hit that 1,000 member mark or just really crushed it. And I've had the privilege of watching your membership go from 0 to infinity and beyond. Right. And it's just amazing when I get to talk to you guys on this podcast because people don't realize how cool it is to do memberships. And I'll tell you what, you said something interesting there. Tell me why you're nervous about the third party marketplace. Like, why did having that make you nervous? I think that's something that people like feel but don't go into, because when you're making money, you don't want to break anything, you don't want to change anything, you don't want to do anything, because what if the money stops? But why is it better now the way it is in your business compared to only relying on the third party marketplace?
I think just the fact that I have no control over it. And I had heard, listening to podcasts about not having all your eggs in one basket and not having it all on a third party website because you have no control. And at the time, it's like, oh, it's going to be fine. I'm loving what I'm doing. It's, but then the more I kept hearing it, I started to get nervous. Okay, hey, if something happens, if the company goes out, bankrupt, like if it gets a new owner, if they change their, exactly, which they've done. So that's really what made me nervous about it. And I'm just going to say, like, TPT is a great place to start selling your materials. But there's been things that have happened that people are freaking out about on Teachers Pay Teachers, that, algorithm changes, or they have a sale at the wrong time or something like that, and everybody's freaking out. And I just kind of sit back and I'm like, okay, well, I'm okay because I have my membership, know.
Well, another interesting thing about your business, though, and this is a question I get from higher level entrepreneurs all the time. Like you were making money before you ever came to Jocelyn. Like, you were killing it on TPT. Like you were already 5-figure a month on TPT then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I had a couple of 5 figures in back to school time, and I was making more than I made in my job on TPT.
So but what's amazing is, and I sell on TPT still. I still have all my stuff on TPT. Like, it's not an either or thing. I don't know why people want to turn this into I either sell courses or resources, or I'm a membership owner. But like, why not just sell everything everywhere? Like, you can have both, and that's what you do, right? Like, you still have all your stuff on the third party marketplace. Yeah,
I have a ton more in my membership. Just time wise, I can't post it all to Teachers Pay Teachers. I actually finally hired somebody to do that for me. But it's a nice thing to have in the background. It still makes good money. I'd never advertise it anymore. I just pretty much advertise my membership. But it still makes money. So I think having both there is still a nice, why not make extra money,
And like, people always ask me, like, well, if I can buy the individual plans, why would I join the membership? And I'm like, well, the membership, you get everything at once. I mean, you can't use it all at once, but you literally can have all of it for one price a month. And if you tried to buy every lesson plan, because mine are expensive, I keep them like $7.
Yeah.
Because I don't want, if you bought every lesson plan in there, you would spend so much more money than just paying me monthly. And it doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Exactly. And I think certain people only want to do one thing. So I do have some people on my email list that will only buy stuff from my TPT store. And I don't understand why, because they'll buy one product that's more than my monthly membership where they can access everything. But it's just like their mindset.
That person has had a bad relationship and they have commitment issues. That's
exactly.
their problem.
Exactly. So I'm like, well, if you just want to buy that, that's fine. So I do think there's some people that have a mindset issue about the membership, and I'm slowly going to convert them eventually to the membership. But I think having both is definitely a great option.
Do you think that so speech language therapy it's like its own market, right? There's speech language, what are they called? Speech language pathologists? Is that what they're called? Yeah.
Pathologists,
There you go. Big word. Big word, early morning, coffee.
It's
all right.
The worst word for a speech pathologist to have, because you're working
I know, right?
speech.
Because no one can actually pronounce it.
No one can say it, yeah.
Right. All right. Lesson 1 of speech language pathology meeting, how to say my name.
Yeah.
Right. But like, when you look at that, like this whole block market, and it's interesting because I kind of view you as like the category killer. Like, I know other people do some things in speech language pathology, but you kind of are the jam. Like you're kind of
Oh, well, thank you.
the show, right? And I know you're too humble to ever admit that, but like Jocelyn had this happen too with Elementary Librarian. Like she became the market leader, you know, and like building a market leading brand from the ground up is a very difficult thing like to do, right? So why do you think your stuff like resonated? Because I think we all, as membership masters, you know, I want to have the most dominant lifestyle brand eventually on the planet. Like I want Flipped Lifestyle to be the brand for family focused entrepreneurs, right? The almost the anti Gary V. The, you know, like that's the brand I want. So somebody forward this to Gary V and tell him I said that. But the but how do you think that happened? I mean, how did you get to this place where you're like, wow, I have literally hundreds of these people. I've taken a chunk out of the market and made them like my own. Like, why do you think your membership resonated so much with these people?
I think a few things. I think one of the biggest things is getting over the mindset of not putting all your stuff out onto your membership for people to download. That was I think a lot of people who start memberships, at least in the TPT, SLP world, they don't want to put everything on their membership to download because they're afraid that people are just going to steal everything. So I think that in the beginning kind of separated me from other people who only wanted to have a few things each month because people could access everything. And I also think there's pushing past those failures all the time because there's so many failures growing this business that a lot of people just quit too early. I think that's one. And then I think also just wanting to help people by providing everything they need versus thinking about, okay, everyone's going to steal this or I'm not going to make them enough money on that. I think just having that like helpful mindset and I'm just helping people. And then, you know, they'll start talking to other people about the membership because I'm helping them and I'm not just trying to sell them something that they're not going to use.
Yeah. Your brand is very much like that. Like, and I want to talk about tech for a minute because this is going to get this might be totally off the wall. You talked about struggles. I know that you have had more tech struggles than anyone I probably have ever coached because you, and granted, you're doing the right things. You're hiring people, you're building things, and you're trying to create better experiences for your user all the time. Like when I think about you, I think Jennifer is constantly trying to improve user experience for her people, right?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that because even this is something that comes up more and more often, not just for my beginner people, but for people who are reaching that membership master's level. Like tell me about your tech struggles and how, because I would have probably gave up on some of these a long time before you did.
Yeah, there was a lot of those.
Yeah. So tell me something about this because this is a problem that we all have to get over if we're going to grow $1 million memberships. So, you know what I'm saying?
So I want to create a website where SLPs could also use a caseload management system so that they could log data for their students and bill Medicaid, et cetera. So, but I couldn't do that obviously myself because I have no idea. So I hired a web developer who looked really good and paid him and waited for like 8 months and barely got anything. You know, their company kept saying, oh, we're doing this and this, and it all sounded great. And then pretty much finally I had to walk away and say, I'm done. I can't wait any longer. I have to just walk away from the money. And I mean, it was a ton of money. So especially like in the beginning. So in order for them to give me even what they worked on, I had to pay them in full, even though it wasn't good. So did
they hold it hostage?
They did. They said they owned it until I finished my payments with them. So
my word.
Yeah. So I gave them the extra payment, the last 25% that I owed when the site was finished, but it wasn't finished. And they said they would finish it, but I just had to give them more time. But I was at the point of, okay, I either walk away, find somebody who actually can do it, or wait another year and possibly have a terrible product. So walked away. It was really hard, very hard. And
what did Clark say when your husband? Was he like? Was he on board with this, or he's like, "Dang, we pay."
Yeah, I mean, we spent amounts that would be for a car, like a nice car for this website that I had to walk away from. So Clark's always been so supportive, though. He's always had the entrepreneur mind, so he knew I needed to do it. It just stunk because I had to take this horrible site that they gave me and find somebody else who would try to fix it for me. So I took that, found somebody local, amazing group. I've been working with them, but they try to fix what the old developers gave me. So that was another like 6 to 9 month process. But the base product was so bad that it kept screwing up every single thing that they would add. It would screw up something else. So they said there was like hundreds of pages of coding when it only needed to be like 1 or 2 pages. So finally, we decided jointly to nix that whole thing and just start fresh. So after about 1.5 years and a ton of money invested, we started fresh. And the website actually just launched this past week, finally. So it's amazing. I love my current developers. But yeah, horrible tech issues, horrible experience with, giving people money that don't deserve money. So if I could have quit for sure from all that, but I'm glad I pushed through.
Well, I mean, one, I think your idea, you latched onto an idea and you went after it. Like, you're like, wait a minute. Not only am I providing these people resources, which is what we all do as coaches in any space and leaders in any space, but it almost creates this hook. Like, hey, if you're doing class management in here and if I can create the best billing solution, then there is no reason to ever leave my membership. Right.
Right.
And finding that, forever hook is really, really important. For us, it's uniting people in the community and in the brand and in the experience. Like, that's where we hook people, is like, wow, my friends come here. It's almost like the neighborhood pub. Like, that's what Flip Lifestyle really has become. It's like a place to go when you don't have anywhere else to go. Like, when you're just confused, we may not have a training, but at least there's a place to talk to somebody about it. And then we all gather together a couple times a month to hang out.
Yeah, it's an awesome community.
And what you guys do is the same thing. Like, it's like creating that, but you're also giving them these powerful resources. Like, we had a guy on here named Kirk Duplessis in episode, I don't know what number it was. We'll put it in the show notes. But Kirk does something similar to what you're doing. He actually created this analytics software, I think is what it is, to make trades. And he made this deal with TD Ameritrade. But it's the same thing. It's like, if I can give them the analytics thing or whatever it is he's created, there's no reason for them to ever go anywhere else. Right,
exactly.
But if you don't push past that, you won't get it.
Exactly. And we were having trouble. I was having trouble with the community aspect. I don't know. It's just me, and I have trouble like making a community or whatever. But yeah, I was trying to find a different hook to keep them, since I wasn't doing great in that part. And also, this is a way for school districts and wanting to pay for it, because it's more of a caseload management system, not just materials for their SLPs. So
yeah, and that's okay. Like, communities built in different ways. Like, that's what this is something I've learned from you guys more than anything else. Like, my definition of community, I think, is more of like a baseline. Like, we say curate your content, create a community, and then provide coaching, right? Those are the 3 pillars of a membership. But community can be weird. Like Basecamp, the project management software. Like, if you use Basecamp, you're almost in a cult. Like, for all you people who are using Basecamp out there, you know what I'm talking about. Like, there's the Basecamp way. But you don't really connect with other people, right? But SLPs come to you, and the tools and resources kind of feel like a community. Like, you're supporting them. So you don't have to have them all chatty and talking to each other. They're just using the same tools.
They're just using the tools.
Oh, I use Jennifer's thing. It's amazing.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I guess that is a good way of looking at it, because I always thought it was like the talking and the
it can be.
But I definitely see what you're saying, and joining, or more having a community of people who just use your stuff.
It's like being in a small town, and maybe you don't know a lot of people, and you're kind of like isolated, not isolated, like you're introverted and you just don't really hang out. You don't go to the coffee shop or Hardee's for your biscuit every Thursday morning or whatever, but you still go to the local football game and you feel like you're a part of the community, right? You're still plugged in. You're just not whatever, Yes. So tell me, what did you learn about hiring someone during this process? Because I think a lot of people, that's where we're all at as we get to the 100 member mark, the 200 member mark. We realize, whoa, I need people. I need to hire a developer here. I need customer service there. Like, what did you learn about hiring someone who looked good on paper but turned out to be an absolute disaster contractually?
That paying a lower amount doesn't always work out. When they promise you they can do something that for a crazy price, that's a red flag. So that was one. And I think just doing more research, the original company I hired that was horrible. They looked good on the website. Like they had nice pictures, their company looked good. And when I talked to the guy, about what I wanted to do, he didn't really, I feel like, write down, now looking back, everything I wanted to do. And he just said, we could do that, and gave me a price right there. So I think like really researching it and also shopping around and not taking the lowest price. And I should have interviewed them more and saw other projects they have done, versus just taking their word for it. So I think just taking the time. I'm the person who likes to jump in real quick if I get an idea.
We're quick starts, which is why we're dangerous.
Exactly.
Hanging out together is dangerous.
Yeah, it's not good.
We need our spouses to calm us down a little bit, Jennifer.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Exactly. So it's taking the time before starting to actually do all my research and make sure I have compared different people before hiring.
Yeah. Also contract. Like, so I wrote down, I'm learning from you. I love this.
Mm-hmm.
I love this podcast. I have an unfair advantage. I get to learn every week and do stuff better. So 1, you get what you pay for, right?
Yeah.
2, research and slow down.
Yes.
Right. Man, I tell you what, I'm in a mastermind, and a buddy of mine, his name's Brian Harris. He runs a website called Growth Tools. If y'all need marketing advice, by the way, go check out Brian. Their stuff is amazing. Some of our community members actually work for him now, by the way.
Nice.
It's crazy. But what he taught me about hiring was you have to slow down. You got to get really clear on what you want.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get a bunch of candidates. Like, it's not enough to find 2 or 3 companies. Like one of the jobs that we did, we got over 300 applicants for, and we did through them.
Wow.
Yeah. And like, you got to do your research. You got to like slow down, because if you don't, you're going to get somebody bad slip through the cracks, you know? And then the third thing, like I was going to ask you, is like contracts. Like, how in the world how did you get tied into this, like where they could hold your stuff hostage? Was it like, did you read the contract before you signed it, or?
Yeah, well, so it was 25% down, and then they would do part of it. And then when they were halfway through, it's 50%. And how I think they held it over me is I just wanted to walk away. But I needed like all their stuff that they made so far. And they told me they would fix it. They just needed the time. And I probably should have gotten a lawyer involved at that point. I ended up getting a lawyer involved later because they did break their contract. They hired out when they said they wouldn't. They hired out to a different country, which I found out because the guy from the different country contacted me. But we couldn't pursue anything. So I think it was just that because they said they would fix it and I didn't want to give them time, that they made me pay the full thing.
Yeah. And they had, I'm assuming they were building this on their servers and things like that.
Exactly. So they built it on their server.
Yeah. See, man, I've seen some problems with this. Like, this is, luckily early on, I saw this happen to some people, and like, so we learned some things about contract work. One thing that we're really, like, I'm a ruthless dictator about is nobody touches my IP. Nobody touches my intellectual property. Like, you don't get to host it. You don't get to keep it. You don't get to have ownership of it. Anything that I have, like, had gray areas in ownership, I've went back and bought people out with contracts.
Yeah.
To make sure that I own even content, like if I get somebody to make some lesson plans or something like that, because you've just got to control your IP. That's the number one thing. Because if someone screws you on a website or someone screws you on a domain, I got all my stuff and it's in the vault, and I'll go build something somewhere else.
Right.
And then the second thing is nobody should ever have any control over your domains. Like, that's I've seen a domain held hostage before.
Oh yeah, that's scary.
It was in the contract. Like, they said, hey, here's the domain, you build it. They bought it through their thing, and that person was like, yeah, I bought the domain, it's in my account. So if you want it, now you have to give me $2,000.
Oh yeah, no. Luckily that didn't happen, but that's horrible.
Horrible. And then the third thing is, like, we have stuff built too on platforms. And I'm like, if I hire someone to build it, like, no, you have to come into my platform and build it. Like, I'm not going to let you build this on your server.
Yeah.
And that's a deal breaker. And if someone's like, well, we're not going to do that, be like, well, you ain't getting paid by me, because that's not going to happen, and that can't happen. And there's so many things that people will try to screw. That guy probably was just a terrible business owner had no clue what he was doing, and he was so desperate to hang on to the cash that he didn't want to let go of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And that's exactly how I feel like they were. It's just they just wanted the money. They didn't care about the actual product that they gave me.
Another buddy of mine, his name's Grant Baldwin. He showed me a contract that he had written himself, and I'm like, "You wrote this?" And he's like, "Dude, we write the contracts, not our contractors. Like, I will not sign anyone else's contract."
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. So like, it's like, if you want to do business with me, you're going to do it on my playing terms. There's millions of you. There's one of me, and I don't need you. You know what I'm saying?
Reading the contract and maybe having a lawyer look over it,
maybe,
or making your own would have probably been a great idea.
That might be a good plan that we've all learned to do that. Okay. All right. So let me fast forward. That was a master class for anyone out there hiring, by the way, and what not to do. But for me and Jennifer here, because we both screwed it up mightily in the past.
Yes.
And have watched our friends screw it up. So you're welcome. We just saved you thousands of dollars in legal fees. Tell me about saying no. This is very fascinating. Like, when to walk. I think this is one of the biggest transitions that high-level membership owners, high-level online business entrepreneurs have to make is you've got to be able to cut the bait. You've got to cut your losses. Like, what was the process there that led to the decision of, hey, yes, we've lost thousands of dollars. Yes, we're probably going to lose that stuff. We may have to start over. But like, how did you say no? How did you walk? Like, what was that conversation like in your head?
It was, I had been going back and forth about it for a long time, but I realized if I don't do this, I could potentially lose members that I promised of the site. Also, don't pre-promise things before you deliver them. I did that too.
Unless you know you can deliver them, right?
Right, exactly. So I didn't want to lose members, and also realizing that if the longer I waited, the more money I would lose in the end. So I think just seeing this, I had this vision of what I wanted and just kept going for it. And I refused to let other things get in the way. So I think if you have a vision, go for it. And I think being able to say no to things that also, when you're talking about saying no, there's so many things you could say yes to in this membership world and social media world. And I still struggle with it because there's so many social media platforms you should be working on and having growth on this one and this one and this one, and it's exhausting. So I think being able to say no to things that aren't actually going to help you in business, even if they make it look like you're doing well, I think that's really important too.
Because I think go ahead.
Oh no, it's okay. I think a lot of people go for followers and likes, but those don't really convert a lot. So I think it's hard when I see other people growing really fast on Instagram and they look super successful, and I'm sitting here not even posting on Instagram because I have found that it doesn't help me. I don't convert anything, and focusing on other things when it's there's always that other thing pushing, hey, you should do this, you should do this. So saying no to things that are really not going to help you at all, or just help you a little, but they're going to help maybe with how it looks on the outside. I think that's a big thing too.
That's what everybody wants though. They want people want them to think they're successful.
Right.
And you know what? I don't want anyone to think I'm successful. I want to be successful.
Right.
We don't have the biggest social media It's so funny. We went to an event one time and this person got up there. I'm not going to try to identify anybody here. They looked so put together. They were gorgeous. They had a gorgeous YouTube channel. They had gorgeous social media. They had gorgeous everything. And they were, and everyone was like, oh man, they got to speak at this event. They looked so successful. And got to talking to this person, and we literally made 10 times more money than them the year before. And I was like, maybe I don't want all those followers. Maybe that was actually, that happened really early in our journey that we encountered that. And I remember having a conversation in Jocelyn in the hotel room. I'm like, all these people on stage, Jocelyn, I think we're way more successful than they are. And they don't even know it. Right? Like, they feel more successful. They're getting they're getting the love, the rub. And and I'm not dogging them. I don't want anyone to think that this is right. But I'm just like, man, I had a meeting with my team this morning, and we were talking about downloads for Libsyn and our podcast downloads. And we were looking at this stat and this stat and that stat and the other, and there's a lot of trends and this and that and the other. And one of my team members was like, I don't really get this data. And I'm like, hey, listen, that data point is interesting, but it doesn't matter, because you know what does matter? Our revenue is up this month.
Right.
That's what matters. So it's a clue why that's happening, but really what got deposited. That's what matters and what you should say yes to. Like
Right.
what caused that to happen, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But saying no to things is harder when you're more successful because
Yes.
you have the money to go hire the person. You
Mm-hmm.
have the idea to buy the course and hire the person to run the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the temptation becomes worse.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
I
I've
know.
thought about that. I could have somebody maybe do my Instagram for me, but when I look at the metrics of how many people click through and how much time I'm spending on posting something, it doesn't convert well. So I'd rather spend the money on having somebody do some type of other marketing or do something for my website that it's actually going to make me money versus wasting it on that. So I think having deep diving into like your metrics of, is this actually working, or are you just gaining random people?
Oh yeah, that's true. Ooh, look at my 100,000 followers that don't buy anything.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
irrelevant, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
our team, one thing I've learned, we've started building a W-2 team. Like we're hiring people full time. I want my people to wake up, think about Flip Lifestyle, go to bed, think about Flip Lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
When they pay their bills, they know it came from Flip Lifestyle, just like we do, right?
Right.
And what we are trying to do now is, you know, I threw a bunch of mud on the wall when everybody came on board, and now I'm trying to I've got to get this off of them. I've got
Mm-hmm.
to remove things from them, and we're trying to get down to like where we all do 5 things really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been a game changer because everybody's focused, nobody's stressed, and it's not like we're trying to do all the things. Like we do Q&As every month with our community,
Mm-hmm.
and we cut those up into individual YouTube videos, right? So that's kind of our YouTube strategy right now, is to explode all this content out there onto YouTube because
Mm-hmm.
it's like 30, 40 videos a month, right?
Right.
We were also trying to put them on another podcast. We used to have a podcast called the Q&A with S&J.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember that? We would get
Yeah.
people to write in and we would do questions and we would air them, and it was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, hey, let's try to launch this back again. Let's get all these uploaded. But I realized immediately it cut the pie too thin. And so last week, actually Monday, I was like, don't do that. We're not going to do that. It would be cool. Maybe somebody can do it later. I don't even know if it'll do any. It might be good, but why don't we just focus on the flagship podcasts?
Right.
Now, and we'll focus on YouTube now, and we'll say no to that other thing. And we'll say no
Yes.
to LinkedIn, all
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. Like, let's just focus on Facebook. Let's pick
Yeah.
one thing. They all work.
They
That's what
all
people-
work. Yes.
Yeah, just pick one that works and just go all in on that one,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll probably
Yeah.
get more members, right?
Yes. And have like blinders on so you don't, because I need that. There's always that shiny object. Oh, I should do this or that. So having blinders on has really helped me focus.
I'll tell you what I do. This is an exercise that you could do too. Is like I got this notebook. I'm actually writing notes for our podcast on it right here. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see this. So I get blank paper because lines make me want to vomit. I can't stand lines. I feel like I'm being contained to the railroad track. I can't stand lines. I got to be wide open, white paper, right?
Yeah.
And what I do is like I've been practicing this. Like this notebook is filled with random scribblings of my madness.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do is probably about every other day, I write on this one sheet of paper, and this is smaller than a normal sheet of paper. It's like 4x8 or something. I don't know what it is exactly, but and I keep trying to write, like if I can write down what everybody's doing on the business on this one piece of paper, that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it forces me to not be able to leave the paper. It forces me, like it can't be 3 pages long and everybody, it's like, no, what do we do? Like we make a podcast and we put that podcast on YouTube, and then we do Q&As and that goes on YouTube, and who does each task. And I've found that this has been really helpful of creating some kind of parameters around my goals. And another thing I wanted to ask you about was that vision. Like you said something really interesting there about vision, like knowing what you want to accomplish and where you want to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like how do you establish your vision to create those parameters where you can say no? Like, cause we just did a process called the Vivid Vision. It's a 36-month plan for where we want to be at in 3 years, basically. And man, when you do it, it's like, well, everything's easy to say no to now because it doesn't fit in there.
Yes.
So how do you guys set your vision to where you have those blinders, where you've got that long-term plan, where you know where you want to get to? Like, is there a process for it, or you just write it down? Or
Yeah, so I write down like my yearly vision and then my 5-year vision of where we want to be and what I want to do, and then kind of go backwards from there on, okay, if I have this vision, how am I going to get there numbers wise? So I don't want it to just be like a dream without any actual steps to how to get there. So I break it down. And I think I may have learned it from you guys actually. Okay, so if I want to have this many members by this year, how many more members a month do I have to get? And then go from there, what do I need to do to get those members each month? So knowing that, okay, August is back to school time, it's a great time for me to do webinars. I get a bunch of members from there. Okay, so that's something I would do in August. And then January or March is a really low time, so I'm going to focus on keeping my members during that time because I don't want to lose. So I think breaking it down by month to how many members you want to keep or gain, and then also what you need to do to get there really helps versus just having this random vision that's there and like, how am I going to get there?
I love that. We do teach that about the knowing your avatar's calendar, but I never thought about that. Like you said something really interesting. We don't do that. Like we focus on retention. We probably take it for granted. I mean, I've got someone on my team that focuses only on that, right? But that's very interesting. Like I create marketing plans every month, but I don't think I've ever created like a retention plan for certain months. Like this is like understanding the calendar that detailed where you're like, okay, well, this is a low month in sales. So my answer to that is always, how do I become more prolific that month and get more members anyway? I think it's almost a game to me. I get mad at low months.
Yeah.
You know, like I get furious. I'm like, I will sell things. Everyone's telling me that I can't sell anything in a global pandemic. Well, you know what? I will. Right.
Yes.
But I love that strategy of looking back in the past to set your vision for the future. Like, oh, well, March is always low. Well, okay. Well, let's just fix that by keeping what we've got. It's lower energy. It's easier. I've got direct access to those people. And like, that's brilliant. Like, that's a really brilliant observation. Yeah.
Yeah, I think originally, like my first couple of years doing this, it was kind of, okay, I'm going to try to get this many members, and I just divide it by 12. So I want, 120 members, I'm going to get 10 members a month. And then I realized, going back to that data, that like I get most of my members August through November, and then I pretty much stop. So I had to figure out how to get 120 members in those months, and then the other months kind of like retain or figure out how to maybe get a few here and there. So that's kind of, I think the disappointments of not hitting those goals from the previous years made me change them. So I'm not always disappointed that I didn't hit that goal and just change them to a different time period.
Oh, it's so behavioral based. You know, I always compare memberships. Have you ever done Dave Ramsey stuff? You ever done?
Yes. We've been through his course. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, like the baby steps, right? And like the first baby step to get out of debt is to not look at your credit cards by interest rate, which is what the financial gurus teach. It's to debt snowball. It's to what's the least one, because you want that win, right? Like I owe $50 to the downtown shop that I put so and so on layaway or something, whatever. I hope everybody out there knows what layaway is back in the day.
Yes.
But like that's the debt snowball. And I actually someone asked me one time that they said they were trying to argue with me about courses. And they're like, yeah, but you get so much more money up front, and then you can invest it down the road. And I'm like, yeah, bro, but that's not how behaviorally humans work, right? The membership model is much more akin to the debt snowball. Yes. The highs are not as high, but the lows are not as low. And you can create these things to keep you encouraged and to keep you motivated. Like just yesterday, we got a success story from a member of our community who she had been in business for like 5 years. She had been humming along at about 25, 30 grand a year. She joined the Flip Your Life community in January, started working on stuff around February. This is during the global pandemic. She's grown her business to $91,000 this year.
That's amazing.
It's incredible. It's like, it was mind blowing. But the thing is, that little nugget, like, I mean, if I'm having a bad day, membership can fix that, right? Like if I wake up and I see a couple renewals, that always inspires me. Like when I know I've started the day with $500, right? Like that inspires me to keep going. It takes the pressure off, and you just don't get that out of any other model, coaching or courses or anything.
Yeah, because then if you're not like during that time you're not selling it, it's hard to kind of get motivated. Yeah,
for sure. And like but this is like more advanced what you figured out. Like it's even more advanced than that. It's like you discovered that you could control the emotions that you feel based on how you operate your membership. That's fast. Like what other business can go that deep and say, you know what, March sucked. I'm going to make March not suck. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's not from sales, it's from something else. Like, that's amazing, right?
Yes. And I'm the type of person that I get really down on myself real quick. So I had to kind of figure out how to, but I get excited about something really quick too. So I found that when I get a couple members in August or September, I'm so motivated to get more because I know that's my time to like really sell. So that's when I get the bulk of my members. And so I think, yeah, learning about yourself and also like what you think about your business and stuff is so important, because if you don't have that vision of how to get there, and if you don't know how you are mentally with failures,
Yeah.
you need to figure that out quick.
And you got to you got to protect yourself, right?
Yes.
So like one
Mm-hmm.
thing I've started doing is really like, I always hated meetings, right? And as a membership master, when you go to the next level, the one thing, and this is probably holding a lot of people back that are going to hear this, is you got to realize that your job has to change. Like what you do every day is not this. What got you here won't get you there, right? And you have to like become this leader, and you have to embrace things that you probably hated in the past, and you have to evaluate, like, why do I not like those things, right?
Yes.
So I hated meetings, and I hated being told where to be. And I remember when we earned our freedom and we became self-employed, and I was really resistant on schedules and meetings and like being bound to be somewhere at a certain time. And then I realized it was holding me back. It was not letting me be the person who had to lead our company to the next level. Okay.
Right.
So now we have a team meeting every Monday. Monday is completely blocked out off to serve my team. Because what I realized was I didn't hate meetings. I hated, how to say this? I hated maybe not being able to control what was happening at the meeting. So then I realized finally, wait a minute, it's my meeting. I'm literally in charge of this meeting. I'm in control. And like the next thing was like I didn't understand the purpose of the meeting. Like there was no why behind it. And I realized after we hired full-time staff that, wait a minute, if I put my 2 hours in every week at this time consistently, not prolifically, I don't have to have prolific meetings every day. I got to have consistent meetings every week. And I meet with 4 people, or let's say I meet with 5 people, right? If I invest my 2 hours into those 5 people and really make sure they're equipped to succeed, those 5 people have 40 hours. I turned my 2 hours into 200. Oh my gosh. I love Monday meetings now. Like now I know like that's the key to it, right? And like, when you hated March before, it was like, well, you were trying to sell things. The thing you said there that was, I think, is probably the most important thing any membership owner can learn is you better just say what's good for the member. Like Joss and I were talking yesterday about another person. I got a lot of unnamed anonymous witness protection program people I'm not throwing under the bus this episode. We found out that someone we know was charging $1,000 for a 45-minute coaching session.
Ooh.
And I'm not judging anyone for what they can charge. If you can provide the value, that's fine.
Right.
But I, and our coaching package looks really different because we still are locked into that membership model. Like we think more on a like a monthly basis, and we structure the control over the time in a way where we know when we're going to talk to people, we know when we're free to not talk to people. So I don't really think of like these hourly rate kind of things. It's more like well, how is this person a $500 a month member actually? Right. So that's how we think about it. So we do things like Voxer and we do strategy sessions. But anyway, I told Jocelyn, I said, man, like, could I command that rate? Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we could command anything we wanted.
I'd probably pay for it.
Yeah, I know, right? Jennifer will buy it, whatever I put out there, But what we thought of was like, but is that really good for a member? Like, if you only if you show up, and I'm not assuming this person doesn't prep or anything, you know what I mean? But like, if you just show up and talk to someone for an hour, are you really going to change their business by $1,000 overnight? Right. Maybe that one thing of miraculous miracle knowledge you knew is going to do it. But wouldn't it be better to like, let's set a goal for 8 weeks and actually work together on this and like have some checkpoints, have some accountability, have some like but that thought process is like, it's not the vanity number of what's good for me.
Right.
It's what's good for my customer.
Exactly.
Is it good for my customer to throw $10,000 more at this? Yeah. And if I get 100 people paying $100 a month, will I make 10,000 a month on the back end of this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will. Not,
Yeah.
but not if you're like vanity number. This is
Right.
good for me. This is too hard. I quit. You know.
Mm-hmm. And I think we could have easily been like, no, we're not spending that money. Like we've already spent a ton. We're just going to deal with it. But just knowing, I think just thinking about your members and what they need and what they want is the best way to grow.
Yeah.
And the best way to get people who are going to tell other people about your site versus tell them negative things. You want them to tell them something positive.
That software always breaks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I always have issues with tech. Yeah.
I think the worst thing that anyone could ever say, though, is the lukewarm, man, that was a good idea, but wasn't executed really well. Because that's death in your membership.
It is.
Like you almost want people to be pissed off a little bit about something that breaks, because then they tell you and it gets fixed.
Right.
But if you just have a lukewarm, like, and they just bail out, like, that's worse. That's just, I don't want to.
Because they're never going to come back.
They're never going to come back, and they're not going to tell anybody else. Hey, have I told you, have you seen our affiliate program that we just launched?
Yeah, I signed up for it.
Oh, sweet. Okay, well, we got to talk about. I'm working on more promotional things, but this is something really interesting, like that goes along these lines. Because when the software that we're using, I'm not totally happy with it yet, but like I'm trying to work with the developer to get it better. But like, we had this idea of an ambassador program. Like most people have affiliates, they go out and find an influencer, you get in front of an audience. I'm not saying we'll never do that, right? But I thought, what'd be cool is if our members could help us grow our membership. But then you go down this rabbit hole and you start really seeing all the problems with like, you have to solve with an affiliate program. Okay. Like, does the software work? Can the person tell what they're making? Is there a way to game the system? Could like a couple members figure out a way to get their membership for cheaper? Like all these things you've got to sort out. I got so overwhelmed, Jennifer, so fast that it was almost like one of those moments where you're like, hey, keep going because this could be really beneficial. And last week, we did roll it out to I'm not even calling it beta. It's like alpha. Like you guys that I send it to, it's like, okay, sign up for this and please tell me where it's on fire and I'll bring an extinguisher. Yeah. But like someone got the first affiliate click last week that converted. And it only took 66 clicks out of all the people who had shared the link. And at that moment, I was like, there's a lot of people who want to do this that would not stay the course. And if you'll just figure it out, this could be really big. Like your software, like if you just figure this out, it could be a game changer that would overshadow all the problems. And that would just become a great story someday.
Exactly. Yeah, you just got to push through those times where you're like, this isn't a bad idea.
Do you think there's more of those times now that you are successful than even in the beginning?
I think so. I think it's like, I don't know. It's almost that fear of failure. Like if I fail really big now. Like, like this is, like Clark retired and like, so I can't fail. So now there's more doubt. Like, okay, is this a bad decision? Should I push through this? Okay, this was a mistake. Do I keep going on this? Or, so I feel like there's more ideas and stuff that are coming at me now, or more failures too, because there's more members. So I'm having more login issues or more like little things here and there. So pushing, I don't think they ever go away.
No, you trade your problems for bigger problems. You know? Or challenges. Let's not say problems. We'll be good on.
And I should hire out some of my problem areas. So
you're not hiring enough. I'm telling you.
No, I know.
Like, but even that, like, it doesn't solve anything. Like I think every day, about our people now, and I'm like, I'm literally, like, okay, quit like 2 people quit their old jobs to come work for me and Jocelyn. Yeah. And those people, and one person was laid off at the beginning of the pandemic. And I hired her and I didn't even have a job for her, but she was really talented. And I was like, I got to grab this person because this is awesome. And I'm like, thank you for laying her off, but like at the same time, I'm like, well, like these people have goals. These people have dreams. I'm responsible for leading the ship and not, because it's not just me failing now. Like if I fail, or if me and Jocelyn fail, then it fails them. And that's even a different pressure than, and then my members get failed. Like they don't get their opportunity to do something crazy. And then like I look at then you look down, you're like, well, I hired all these people and I got all this payroll and like I bought 10 new software. We're running 2 memberships on 2 different platforms right now because we're in the process of switching from Infusionsoft to Kajabi. And the only solution that we had was 6 months of parallel memberships and letting attrition be over. And like our churn rate is really high right now. Like I think it was 22% last month. But it's weird because it's people we haven't grouped. It's not people necessarily that quit. It's they've attritioned in Infusionsoft. We haven't moved them over to the new membership, or like we lose a member from one plan, but now we have a different plan. So like there's this weird, all these moving parts makes me like nervous. I'm like, we can't fail, right? And that is a different kind of pressure that you better get used to if you want to make something. If you want to lead 1,000 people in a membership,
you have way more responsibility. You feel like on your shoulders.
Yeah. How do you deal with that pressure? Like with all your now because your husband has quit his job.
Yes. He quit the week of the pandemic starting, which we hadn't planned, but we planned when he got back from Florida. Like, okay, when we got back from Florida, he would quit, and he quit that day when we got back. Then the pandemic. So I mean, it still worked out, but yeah, kind of crazy. But yeah, I don't want to say I deal with it well because I take a lot on personally, so I'm still working on that part. And I quickly go from, okay, there's one problem. Oh, I'm going to fail. Everything's done. Like my membership's done. Like I shouldn't even have tried, and then I have to just pick myself back up and say, okay, how do we fix it? So I do have those moments of it's all gone.
I love that. What you said. Though. I think I've talked to so many humans in the last 5 years on these podcasts. Like I catch little things. You said something there that really inspired me big time. You said, I don't think I handle it very well.
Yeah, I don't.
But what I heard was you still handle it. Like you handle it. Like, and I think that's what people, they view like these people on Instagram, to circle back around to the beginning of our conversation, and they think they're handling it so well. But I hate to tell you this, people, I know a lot of those people you follow on Instagram, and they're not handling it any better than you are.
No.
They're not. They can present it better than you can. But they're not handling it well, and they're failing, and they're messing up, and they're pivoting back. We're going to have a guest on the podcast soon I'm going to talk to that you're going to freak out about and be like, oh my gosh, because they're going to talk about something they stopped and it was probably not something they should have done, And but I think that's what separates membership masters from membership dabblers is they realize that they don't have to handle it well.
Yeah.
Like I can push a dumpster fire down the street better than anybody. And like that's just what you got to do. I mean, that's how you get your next member. That's how you shake off the hate mail. That's how you fire someone, that screwed you over with your website.
Yes. Right? And I think it's just like letting yourself deal with it how you deal with it, but stopping it at a point and picking up and moving on. I mean, Clark has learned if I have a bad day with a membership, I lose a bunch of members or I get like a bad email or something, I am really negative about the membership for the next 24 hours. Like, oh, I shouldn't have done this. I don't even know why we're doing this. And he's like, yeah we should just, just get our 9-to-5 jobs back and it's going to be great. Right.
Jocelyn just had a moment like that the other day. She sent me a message and she was like, I don't even know if I'm just going to go get a job.
Yes.
So she had like something bad had happened and she was feeling bad about it, and then she goes and sells 5 high ticket coaching packages.
Yeah. So it's like it's a roller coaster. So he knows that in 24 hours, I'm going to be back to normal. Like, okay, now I need to work on this because this is what went wrong. But just letting yourself vent. And I guess.
Oh yeah. You got to vent. You got to,
yes.
You got to get real with people.
And the best way to vent I've found is deleting somebody off your email list. If they're mean to you, I just delete them off my email list. And I don't know why, but it's like
because you're in control.
Yes.
You control everything. And I'm the master of this universe and you are no longer.
If you're going to be mean to me, you're off my email list.
Forever. Yeah.
Yes.
So like so how are you guys growing right now? Like what's your plan, going forward besides this new thing? Like, I like to kind of wrap up with like growth strategies a little bit because we all have different niche markets and things like that. But like what is your growth strategy right now from a traffic perspective, from a membership? Like our growth strategy, well, I'll share this with you because I don't, we have like 3 major growth strategies right now. One, we're tripling down on content marketing, right? Like one person on our team is totally responsible for YouTube. One person on our team is totally responsible for podcasting, and one person soon will be totally responsible for guesting. That's going to be a big thing. So we're really doubling down on content marketing, but with a much better eye on SEO now that we have people with capacity. I was the same way. I was just like, write a blog post, but don't SEO it.
Yeah, just
that sounds
there.
good, right? So SEO and content marketing is a huge strategy for us. I really think after the first week of alpha testing this ambassador program at affiliate marketing, I want to create an affiliate army, right? But I want to do it a different way. I want to do it grassroots, our people getting their people, like, but doing some big launches. I think affiliate marketing is going to be a big deal for us. And then one thing we've never had to do is ads. We do some ads for follow-up, but not really cold traffic, because we convert so well when people find us. We don't have to do that, but I think that's probably where we're going to have to go, is like, we got to learn it. We got to, I need someone on my team that runs ads for only us, not an agency.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the 3 big strategies that we're going to go with, like, over the next year.
Sounds really good.
Yeah. What are you guys doing right now to grow?
Well, so it's back to school time for me. So this is like kind of my crazy.
Oh yeah, we're done.
Marketing time.
Me and you are not working on anything but that for the next month and a half.
Yes, exactly. But I did hire out some marketers for me, since my Facebook ads were shut down and never went back up for no reason. Right. But I hired marketers to do my SEO, my work on my Pinterest, my Facebook ads, like getting those back. And so I think leaving that to them has been really huge, because we've been working together on how they should market my stuff. And they're actually part of the development team. They have a marketing side, so they really know my site really well. Nice. So focusing on really working on my SEO and my Google rank and everything. And then I am making digital plans for teletherapy for the people who are, doing at home.
So this is a segment. Right, that's a segment strategy more than anything, right?
Yeah. Like, so I think for me,
hyper focusing on a segment, basically.
Yes, exactly. Because right now that's like what everybody needs in my membership. So I think honestly I have to sit down and plan more, but focusing on my SEO, my Google reach, and then getting all my old people and all my email lists to try my new membership. That's going to be a huge one, because it's a brand new site. There's more things that they can use, and trying to gain back anybody who left in the past 2 years or 3 years, and then really focusing on my email marketing to my list, because I have a big enough list to market to without focusing on trying to get new people into my email list.
Uploading that list is powerful.
Yes.
Like you might want to have all your ads go into that. Like forget new people right now. During back to school, let's put just my list in there, just my website traffic.
Yes.
And let's, during this peak time, go after, like, spend some money there. And like, because that's going to be my main strategy. Because I have a huge following on Facebook. I got 10,000 people on my Facebook page for U.S. history teachers. And we have a big list. We've got about, we might be near 20,000, something like that, emails on that. And there's only 60,000 social studies teachers.
Right. So you're good.
Right, so yeah, I'm good. Right. So like, I'm just doubling down on the same thing, like new platform, new everything, fresh coat of paint. But I'll tell you something crazy. You want to hear something crazy I'm thinking about doing? This is going to scare you. Okay. I'm thinking about doing a first semester trial of my membership this year. Like it's because here's what I'm thinking. Yes. Like, and I'm a big believer in ROI and making that investment and taking the risk reward, right? So the new platform, we've added something that I think is pretty revolutionary. And the reason we did it was because of the homeschool side. So when I did homeschool 2 years ago with our kids, there was, of course I've got the social studies and all that. I got a master's in history, Right. But like math was a struggle. Science was a struggle. Just not familiar with it. Forgot it. Not use it, you lose it. And I remember I looked at so many different curriculums and I thought to myself, man, you know what sucks about this? Nobody teaches my kid. Like I'm still left to teach my kid. And I said, if I had just had a better system that was like, my kid watches a video, reads a thing, takes a quiz, and then I got a bunch of resources that I can print out and give them, right? But then I started thinking, I was like, well, wait a minute, that's exactly what my history side does. The only difference is the teacher is taking my resources and they're teaching their students. They're following what I call the SAMS method in teaching. So I've got this bell-to-bell instruction method that I developed for my teachers to put your classroom on autopilot, not fake it. And
Right.
you know,
Right.
but I mean, like you don't, you remove that, the stress of planning. And now you can literally just follow the plan. And I'm like, oh, I get to teach. This is incredible. This is what my job is. So, but what was missing was like, well, what if I had a teacher built in? I could turn that into a homeschool side. So I've got a voice actor right now. We're about 20 lessons in recording the teaching.
It's amazing.
He's a history teacher. He's going to go in, he knows the material, and he's going to ad lib. And literally every one of them are 15 minutes, right? So that's going to be in there. And so as we roll this out, it's not quite done yet. We've got to finish up some loose ends before Labor Day, right? I was thinking, if I let people use this right now, while everyone's going to be virtual till New Year, let's say everybody goes back then, they are not going to want to lose that. They're not going to want to lose they can hit play and then they can have discussion with their kids. They're going to be at home. It's going to, and I seriously thought, I told Jocelyn the other day, I said, if I did a 90-day trial that renewed monthly with an upsell into quarterlies and stuff, or I can still do a quarterly, I can still do an upsell on the next page, like for the annual.
Right.
And I can still upsell, hey, go get your people to pay for this. Like a week later, they'd get an email that says your school can pay for this for a year. So there's upsells there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm just doing this, but like, man, you talk about addiction. They're sitting at home, they're hitting play on the video.
They're so used to it.
They're so used to it. Like when they come back from Christmas break, if they're still virtual, and this is a way for me to beat Google Classroom. Because if people start uploading all my stuff in there, they might get used to it or whatever. But like if they have to pull up Kajabi and hit play on the video, I still can control some of that IP that can't be downloaded and put into Google Classroom.
Yeah.
But I've got to roll the dice and say, but you know how many, if I said 90 days of free lesson planning to an audience of maybe, 30 or 40,000 people, we could get 1,000 new members.
Yes. Yeah.
I think,
Yeah. I'm still working. I know you're really good at that. The not worrying about the downloading everything.
Yeah. My system is so pure. Like it would take you so long to download everything. Like it's convenient, but cumbersome. That's what I like to call my membership method. Like it's convenient to get it when you need it, but it's super cumbersome to steal it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. Because you show me how you have different link pages.
Yeah. It's like renting a car or stealing it. It's really hard to steal a car. Renting a car is really super easy for the day. Right.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I can see that's a good, because I can see if I sent that out to my email list, like a month free or whatever.
No, forget a month. What if
I know
case management system, like what if, just imagine if 1,000 people tried it and got all their kids in there and got everything loaded,
all the data and everything,
built all the routine, and yes, it's delayed gratification, and yes, it's terrifying, and yes, it's scary. But like during back to school, if you're like, I'm going to let everybody use this for the entire first semester, and they just got addicted to it. And then you go on a big push for the schools in the January, like, hey, you're about to re-up. Why don't you get your school to pay for all this?
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
I don't know, man. Like it takes guts.
Yes.
And that's the difference in the membership marketer and a course marketer, right? Like the course marketers, they got to have the high of getting all the money the day of the launch. But like, I'm like,
long term,
I can wait for the hit. I'll take the hit now and think about it later. But like, I could just picture, looking up in November and seeing 800 people freaking renew.
Yeah. I mean, that could be a really quick way to up your membership a lot.
We did Rebecca Decker did a free trial recently. First one she ever did. I finally talked her into it because I feel like half my life is telling you people to do free trials.
Do free memberships. Yeah.
Right, I know, right? And then she got 790 people sign up in one day.
Wow. That's crazy.
They're coming up for renewal pretty soon. I got to touch base with her and see what's
I'm doing my launch party next week, so maybe.
Hey guys, imagine this pitch. This podcast is default into us hanging out. Like, imagine this pitch. Hey guys, I've got this new thing. Tell the story of how I've hired this developer and tell them how much you spent on it. Say, I spent $35,000 on whatever, and and they failed. Then I had to fire them, and we tried to rebuild it, and it didn't work. And we put it off, and I hated to do that. And then we started from scratch because I was worried about. You're telling this story is the webinar, right? And then like I find like you went to the mountaintop to get the torch from Zeus for these people.
Yes, pretty much.
Right? And then you're like, and then when I came back down, I got attacked by the monsters, and it was even harder. But we finally launched, and people are looking at it, right? And then you say, and I know that a lot of you are struggling right now. I know it's hard being virtual. I know it's hard being at home. You're having to learn new technology. You still love your kids and you really want to help them. And, I really think now more than ever, I'm glad that I went through the fire for you for this case management system, because this is really going to help you at home. And it's really going to help you transition back into the classroom. It's really going to help you over this next time. And I'm sorry that all this happened, and I'm sorry that your school's not going back to school, and you feel so powerless, and you're scared to go back to school. So what if we took that off of you for this until Christmas? What if I let you in and you get to use the case management software for free until 2021? Then 2020 is behind us. Nobody's got to worry about it anymore. Everything's going to start getting back to normal, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But like, can you imagine how many people on your list would probably sign up for that?
Oh, so many.
And then it's just, okay, right now we don't get to make the big giant hit. Well, you have upsells. I would have a really good annual deal on the thank you page, right?
Right.
Like, so how much was it a month?
$26 a month or $227 a year.
Yeah, like I would have some crazy like $150 on the year, just because that'll give you some cash to for retention ads and
right
like that. But you've got enough monthly members right now where it doesn't matter,
Yeah, like right now I'm okay. Like this is a good time, August, September, October, money wise coming in, because I have a lot of annuals renewing and stuff. So
exactly. So
it'd be, I guess, a good time to do it.
I don't know, man. That'd be pretty ridiculous. Like, what if you said use my case management system until 2021?
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I mean, because yes, right now it sucks a little bit. But you could spend all your time on retention and upsells.
Right.
You can do an upsell promotion every month. You got Black Friday for annuals. You got October. You can do tons of quarterly upsells to get a good discount.
They're already in there.
But then you're just marketing to people who are in the system.
Yeah.
And then can you imagine like January, like say you open this on September 1st, and then on January 1st, what happens when 800 people renew in like a week?
Gosh. It'd be crazy.
I know, right? And like, so I mean, and then now the bullets you got to take are a lot of people are going to get charged and want cancellations. So you need somebody in place by then so you don't see that.
Right.
Because if you do 1,000, you're going to get 200 cancellations the first day.
Absolutely.
You may a lot of refunds, but if half stick, you've changed your business model forever.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And I'm going to be adding more stuff throughout the year with like digital materials anyway, so it'd be even more to stay.
Yeah, and then there's FOMO if they lose it,
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I've talked myself into this too. I was still on the edge. I was still a little scared, but I'm really. I think I was gonna do quarterly, because wouldn't that work out right? Let's see, September to October, October to November, November to December. But I kind of think now that you want it to go into the new year, I think that's a better pitch. I don't know.
Yeah, to start 2021, because everybody's so over 2020. So
I know, right? Like, so you said, like, I'm going to sell that. Like, you could do it on a, I guess if we launch it in September, it'd be like a 4-month thing. That's 16 weeks. So you'd have to set up almost like a 4-month free trial, and then it renews at the month. I don't think you want to renew this at anything but the lowest monthly price you got, right?
Yeah.
Because that won't scare people when it hits the credit card.
Right. That's a really good idea. It's scary. It's a big jump, but it could work out really well.
Another thing that you could do too is, what if you just sent that to people you're trying to win back? To beta it a little bit to see how many, like because you're like us. I mean, you've been in business so long, you got hundreds of people that have been
exactly. Yes.
Like, I wonder if we could send, like, that'd be a good test run. Just be like, wow, that worked really well.
Yeah, and see how many people.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go all in, I think.
Yeah, I can see sending that out to my email list and getting a ton, because I mean, I would do it.
Who wouldn't do it?
I know.
Like if you tell the story, like you could do a webinar about the case management software. Like I think that would be interesting. Like, hey, like the webinar could be like, case management is apparently a need for your people. It's an overwhelming burden. So you can just say, hey, let me give you 3 tips on how to better do caseload management organization or something. So you don't tell them about the software until you get there, right? And then like you pick 3 of the benefits from your software, but you spend the whole first thing telling the story about, I realized this was a problem for people. I wanted to create a solution. Well, let me tell you how that went. Then you tell the whole story. And what you're going to do is you're going to convince them that you're going to tell them, they're going to almost feel guilty at the end of this because they're like, Jennifer Bradley has put a lot of time and effort into this. I at least owe it to her to try it for free.
Right. Right. No, it's so true.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I can see it. Big risk, big reward, right?
What are the okay, let's do the trailer park tornado. This is what I called it. We always look at the worst case scenario. We call it the trailer park tornado. So at the end of a good idea, me and Jocelyn are always like, well, what's the bad things that could really happen here? Like not like it might not work. That's bullcrap. That's fear. That's fear. We don't care about fear.
Yes.
But like, what are some bad things that from doing a trial? I've never done a trial that long for anything. I don't know how.
Yeah. I think for me, I guess I don't know if this is a fear or a bad thing, but that people come in and just have tons of time to download all my stuff and then not come back because they have it all. Granted, I have over like 800 materials in there, so it may be a task to do.
How do you mitigate that besides organization?
I can't really do much to it.
Well, a positioning could, like if you're really positioning the case management software tool. That's a SaaS product basically, right? Like it manages so maybe that's the positioning is like, you've got to really focus retention on using that
tool. Yeah.
Like
because I think people would stay for that if they uploaded their caseload and stuff.
Well, like your life could be like, okay, so let's say September is the push and you keep this open. Like I'm going to keep it open all month and I'm just going to run ads and freaking lose as much money as possible getting people to know about it,
Yes.
But like maybe that's what October and November looks like for you as caseload man. Like you just train every week. Like every week you do a live call for 8 weeks and get all these people hanging out with you. And like, you're just training a different part of the program.
Yes.
Like you're just teaching them how to use it as much as, because your goal is to get them as addicted to that thing as possible. Because then they can't back out of it.
Right. They'll stay for the whole year and more years if they want, because their caseload will already be on there from the year before.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, so yeah, I think training them throughout those months when I'm not selling it, the free membership, it's a really good idea.
The emotional letdown of half those people quitting would suck.
That's a big one, because whenever I do free trials, I'm like, oh, everybody hates it. Everybody's canceling. And then it's like, 20% or 30% are canceling, but I think everybody is canceling.
Oh, yeah. So how do we mitigate? Okay, so that's a big trailer park tornado right there.
Yes, well, they can cancel in their membership right now. They're able to. We got to add the developers have to add like a, I don't know, some type of box that gives them other offers or whatever to the cancellation button. So it's not just cancel, Yeah.
So slow the tide. Somehow.
Slow it. Yeah. Kind of slow the churn rate and give them different options or ask them why they're canceling. Should we pause it? Things like that.
I think there is a convenient, when you're stable churn, it is good to have a way for people to cancel. Like ours is, here's how we stem that tide. One, you have to click a button that says, I want to quit. You don't get to say, please cancel my membership for me.
Yes.
Like, you have to like verbally say you're going to quit. And then I go to a sales page where I try to talk you out of it. And I actually view that, especially for Flip Lifestyle, but like I view that differently, like for Flip Lifestyle, because part of my job as the leader of that community is to talk you out of giving up.
Right. Exactly.
So, and then we make them fill out a form and then we have to do it manually.
Yes. That's how my old site used to be, is the manual.
Yeah. That definitely slows it down for sure. Right. You'll get more emails asking to cancel, but you'll get less I quit, and you get a chance to at least reach out to them.
Yes. Yeah.
Not seeing it too. You've got to get, like, if you're going to do something like that, like I think for me, I don't want to see that. I can't handle that many people quitting,
It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So also preparing your team and letting them know that the sky's not falling when all these people quit.
Right. And having somebody like all those refunds or quit notices go to just that person's inbox instead of mine.
Exactly, right, for
Yeah.
sure. Another bad thing about this isn't it's more like the aftermath of the trailer park. This is the cow landing on your house in the trailer park tornado. Is you actually are delayed from that money probably 30 more days even after they renew.
Yeah.
Because you got to let renewals and refunds clear out. So this is massive delayed. This is 4 to 5 months before you get the return on the investment.
Yeah. Which would, it's kind of a perfect time though, because like I said, this is a lot of my annuals renew in August, September, October, November. So this would be
upsells are easy
good
too.
time. Yes.
Because you have schools. So like let's say 26. I'm gonna say 30 just because mine's 29, so we'll just go 30.
Easy. Yeah.
So if we did 30 and we sold 1,000 free long-term trials, this is crazy. We're inventing a strategy on air, people. You're getting gold here. Okay.
Yes.
So 30 times 500 would be 15,000 a month. If you kept 500, and so 15,000 a month would be almost 200,000 a year, ish.
That's crazy.
So you're talking about massive percentile growth. A month. So if you get 1,000 and you lose 500, and you absorb that, you had to wait. Like you might have. Let's say you get 100 people at $30 a month, right? Well, that's 3,000 a month. You're only going to get $15,000 over the next 5 months for doing it the old way. But if you do this right, you could get 15,000 a month next year.
Yeah, that's a significant difference.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah,
that's 3 employees that make you go get $50,000 more a month, right?
Yeah, I feel like after this conversation, Clark and Jocelyn are going to be like, "What?" Because we're both going to come back and be like, "We're doing this great idea."
I've been told this is the craziest and best podcast anyone's ever heard, because it's crazy stuff like this happens every week. Well, I've talked myself into this for sure.
You kind of talked me into it too.
I know, right? Is there any other risk though? The only risk I could see is if the unknown here in the circumstance. Well, okay, let's think about we can't control the tornado, right? We can only control how we prepare for the tornado or get in our car and drive away from the tornado, right? One thing I do not understand is we are going into an uncertain time in our market, right?
Right.
So what is the risk of the unknown that I don't know how to say this. I
can't.
You know what I'm saying?
Think about in the future.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, I want to retention. That's what I'm thinking about here. Because right now we count on that stable, predictable, recurring revenue. But school's about to go back. 30 to 40% of schools are going to be virtual. Another 20% of people are going to homeschool. That's the real unknown, is maybe the direction the tornado's coming from there, right? Because if retention dropped during this time, what's your backup plan to bail out and go get those 1,000 people to give you money immediately,
Yeah. I don't know. We'd be able to just do an upsell, a random upsell during that month.
Maybe. Or you could have I wonder if you could even have a back end hey, you've been using this 60 days now. If you see something dropping, because retention's everything here, because that's going to be your income while you're waiting for the investment to pay off. So could you say something could you have in your back pocket hey, look, I know you're loving this, and we were going to start you at $29 a month in the new year, and you're going to use it, but I'll let you in I'll let you go ahead and upgrade to 19 a month right now. You could have a backup price or a backup plan of some kind.
Yeah, that you could offer them that in the long run it will cost them less. And
let's say
if they wait.
Yeah, let's say churn's high in October and you lose $2,000 a month in revenue, right? Because of all this madness we can't predict. Well, if you had a way to just get 100 of those people to go ahead and re-up, you could at least replace the loss.
Yeah, and I think if they're already using the membership site,
some people
liking
jump on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Black Friday is probably your pivot point here. You're gonna make an evaluation in October on how revenue sticks and how upsells sold, and then you use the excuse of Black Friday to get a bunch of those. Maybe you do that anyway. Maybe that's just a part of the plan. At Black Friday, we're going to try to get a bunch of these people to go ahead and
renew at that time.
With some kind of deal. Maybe a quarterly or something would be easy, because you could go 75, no, it's 20, 30, $26 would be 70. You could do like a $50 a quarter real quick thing, get 100 people,
Yeah.
get $5,000 in, anticipate $5,000 next quarter.
And
Just
I
something
found
to
my
cover
quarterlies
churn.
last longest for some reason. My lifetime value of my quarterlies are longest.
Oh, we find that too. It's amazing. That's why it's my upsell.
Yeah.
Like I took the annual plan off of our upsell pages because the quarterlies stay longer.
So yeah, I can see the quarterlies being a great way to sell them something to buy in Black Friday or Cyber Monday.
So I don't really know if there's a lot of risk here, to be honest with you.
I know.
to
I
do
think
this.
you talked me into it.
So what does the timeline look like then? We go, so we think about our avatar. September we know is our hot month where we can get people to do things. Normally that's give us their first month's money, but right now we're thinking about something crazy. So let's say September is promotion. You promote it like crazy. You got to pick an end date somewhere in there, right? I kind of like the 20. What's the first day of fall? Is it September 20th or the 21st?
I think the 21st.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
So let's say that's our close date. Like, you're going to fall away from this deal. don't fall off the plan. Whatever.
Yes.
Just something corny. But like so you close then. Maybe you hit back that last week of September for opens and clicks to kind of, hey, we're going to open this a little bit. And we know you were interested. You didn't sign up. We're going to give you one more chance before the end of the month. October becomes probably all training.
Yeah.
All retention, like massive engagement. Like we're not really selling a lot. We're just getting the people that signed up to show up at trainings.
Yes.
I would probably I'm going to go something weekly live training or something. God, I want to do this for Flip Lifestyle now. Like that now November. No, wait, yeah. So October we're covered. October's retention month at that point. November we plan the Black Friday. The upsell. Yeah, we plan we are going to scoop up 20 to 30% of these people on some kind of really good deal. So we do a quarterly to our whole lists and our members. We try to get anybody we can to take this, right? And it's a quarterly is what we do, but it's got to be better than our normal quarterly.
Yes.
It's got to be silly, right?
That they just can't leave it.
Resist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because November, December, January, those would all renew in January too with all the free trials. So that's a huge month in January. And then December is probably back to laying low and closing up the year, fun stuff, retention. And then in January, it's lots of reminders.
Yeah,
a ton of reminders.
Yeah.
Because we don't want anybody. The less surprises, the less customer service.
Yeah. The only thing I actually just popped in my mind that I could, but this is just a fear of mine, I think, is after Christmas time, a lot of people don't have a ton of money. And I can see them being like, oh, it's been hard. Can't renew in January because it's a bad time. But that could be my.
Well, no, that's true. That's that could be. So the messaging is going to be dictated by that on the reminders. It's going to be more like we have to remind them all the good things about that,
Yes.
Like, aren't you glad that you didn't have to do anything over Christmas? Aren't you glad that your caseload management is right there? Like, aren't you glad that when school, and also too, we have an advantage knowing goes back to knowing your avatar. Hopefully by then, more people will be going back into the classroom.
Yeah, hopefully.
So the added stress of the school is like, man, aren't you glad you got one less thing to worry about? Right? It's just messaging at that point, Yeah. And this isn't a lot of money. It's not like it's a monthly.
Right.
So that's why we do that. So I think that one we can overcome that objection pretty good,
Yeah, I think so too.
So really, you got to start the marketing for that in December. The last week of December after Christmas is, all right, Christmas is over. This freaking year is over. Jesus Christ, hallelujah. And then let's go into the next thing.
Okay,
I don't know. It's pretty good. Let's do it. Let's test it.
Test it.
Hey, you know what's funny is like it can all be if it's a disaster. It's not like we can't just pivot in October and start selling stuff again.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Like, it's not going to hurt me really.
Yeah, September. You're going to get signups. Like, no one's not going to sign up for the whole fall semester. It's our coronavirus gift. to all teachers, you know.
Yes.
And you've got a way better pitch than I do, because you've got a brand. I got to pitch the new community. We're moving it to a new platform, the brand new
for sure.
website. You know, yeah, this could be.
Everybody's going to think I'm absolutely insane in my niche.
I know, but you know what? Their reality's not big enough.
Right. Exactly. I want that bigger reality.
They're scared. Like, you know, but who's really going to be insane is your team. They're going to think you're crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think if I tell my marketers, like, this is my marketing people.
Clark's going to think you're crazy.
Clark's going to think I'm
Jocelyn's
crazy.
going to think I'm insane too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
She's probably going to think we're nuts, because she's going to be like, wait a minute, what? I'm like, yeah, trust me.
Yeah.
This is me.
We try to think it through. We didn't just jump in.
Me and Jennifer worked this out. You know what I'm saying? We think this is going to work, right? The math works. You know?
Yeah.
Here's the real story. Can you pay your bills till January right now if you didn't sell another membership?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, let's
we're okay.
Dice and see what happens.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, well,
they're wrecking.
We've been here 2 hours, so we better wrap this up. I hope y'all are still with us. But if you bailed out at any point before that, you missed some gold there.
Yes.
And you know, it's not just our market. Anybody can come up with crazy stuff like this, and that's the beauty of the membership model. It all works. So
do what you
listen,
want.
Jennifer Bradley, I love you guys. I think you are some of the most amazing human beings that we
thank
have
you.
ever been
We
blessed
feel the same
to meet. And I think that we just got ourselves into a big hot mess.
We did.
And it's going to be fun though. But thanks for coming on the show, and thank you so much for sharing everything and being real. And maybe some people out there have a bigger reality after hearing us jam.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. It's been really fun and very helpful.